Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at the Intel Extreme Masters Hearthstone Tournament, and it's final time. And that means I have the pleasure of saying, Artosis, how ready are you?
I'm completely ready. I've been wanting my revenge, and I'm glad that it came so quickly.
Revenge coming quickly. How does that make you feel, these kind of fighting words from Artosis?
Well, it will be interesting to see what he has in store. If he practiced like last week, right? Wait, weren't you like casting the whole week?
Yes, I have a job, so it's okay though. Hasn't held me back yet.
How does that make you feel? That kind of, hey, I don't need to be practicing. I think I'm ready to go anytime.
Well, Dan has repeatedly showed that he don't have to practice. He can still win, and he's a tough opponent. But I'm not going down easily, man.
Not going down without a fight. Does that sound ready?
Yeah, he's ready. He's really good, one of the best players in Europe for sure, so I'm just looking forward to showing my skills against him.
It's time to show the skills. Gentlemen, a round of applause for your finalists, people. Good luck. Shake hands, please. Now, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot more on the line here, and I'm thinking there's a lot of bragging rights. But two people that'll definitely be able to tell us all about that and get this game underway is, of course, Dan and Katowice. Over to you guys.
All right, thanks very much, Sean. Thank you. As we now get into the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship Hearthstone Finals. It's not quite the World Championship, just a little bit of an invitational as well as...
What's the first IEM champion?
Yeah.
That's right.
It's nice to have you here, man. It's nice to have you here.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so you are basically going to bring far more expertise here to this than I am.
I think you've been doing a pretty good job, Katowice. Don't doubt yourself.
Not too bad?
Yeah,
Okay.
You've been doing pretty good. Some of the calls you make are really good. And some predictions. We were sitting in the seats talking with Artosis and some of the other players, and you were making calls that some of us didn't even see. So I think you did a good job so far.
Didn't see, but were terrible at knowledge.
Maybe because we were laughing a little bit. Unfortunately, Synex's reactions were really priceless for us because he was covering his mouth. Yeah, the Pego drawing 4 turns in a row was just like devastating to him.
Yeah.
And as a result, I think he tilted a little bit in that previous series, and that definitely has to give Gnimsh momentum into this one.
Yeah, I would think so as well. Although, and also, didn't he beat him at Seat Story Cup as well?
Gnimsh beat Artosis.
Yes,
he did 4-3. It was a very close series.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, in just a little bit, we'll be getting into this and finding out what they're going to choose as their first decks here. Mm-hmm. But, one apt finish. A lot of people kind of predicted these two to be here. Do you have much experience watching our other two players that were here before? Or
Lothar and Synex, I've actually spent a lot of my weekend hanging out with them. I've seen Lothar play in like iHearthU's King of the Hill, where he went up, I believe, against Razor. He didn't actually do that well, but he showed off some good play. His problem, and I talked to him about it, was that his decks were outdated. That shouldn't be a problem with these two guys because they are very well versed in all the meta game. And Artosis and Gnimsh have well-prepared decks. I'm not so sure about that mage deck, but it doesn't matter because he's playing Warlock at the moment.
Yeah, opening up against Shaman from Artosis. And this is one of the decks that we didn't see from Artosis because he didn't even need to reveal it before.
That's right. And Shaman's a pretty versatile class. It can deal with aggro really well if you draw into the Lightning Storms, the Feral Spirits, and you have like the Unbound to complement everything, and you have removal spells, as well as it's definitely a bit like a control killer as well. You have the hexes and the ability to deal with things. So it's a very versatile class. Doggy House actually believes Shaman's the top tier competitive class at the moment. They think Shaman's #1.
Ah, okay then. So in terms of what we're seeing here from Gnimsh with the Flame Imp already out, it's a standard kind of go-to move and a game, move #1 here from Gnimsh. And then from Artosis' point of view, what really kind of stands out? Just a complete pass. I suppose he doesn't really have too much there.
So a lot of people might be looking and confused why he didn't Lightning Bolt the Flame Imp right off the bat, but Artosis also has that combo we were talking about, Unbound Elemental plus the Feral Spirits, and if he Lightning Bolts, he can't do that on turn 2 by using the coin. And so that weakens his ability to load up the board. Now the problem with doing this though is not only do you lose a mana, but you lose a lot of tempo. And Shaman is a really difficult class to come back with because you have that overload mechanic, and if for some reason he deals with your creatures really efficiently, then you're just behind on mana and you're behind on the board.
The Overlord and basically just slows you down as time goes on if you don't get the right draw.
But he has the right cards in his hand. Just look, the Lightning Storm, the Unbound, and the Feral Spirits. It's just how do you get them out without losing too much position?
Well, for now, we'll see what he wants to do. I mean, at this point, is it viable to even do anything here, or do you just pass again and actually take the hit?
Well, I think definitely pushing out the Unbound is great because, at worst, he trades with it, but he's also choosing to go for the Feral Spirits instead because he wants security. Shaman doesn't have much health to play with, and so going for this is definitely the safer play, and it's not inappropriate to do it.
Well, Shield Bearer comes out as throws down the Knife Juggler as well.
Wow,
here.
this hurts if it hits one of the wolves, which has a very good chance of doing it.
Yeah, because he can just trade away with and kill one of those off pretty quickly.
What's scarier is there's a 5/1 Amani Berserker left.
That's true. That's very, very true.
Now Artosis has no mana to play with, and this is one of those situations where you'd like to deal with all these minions on the board with one fell swoop of a Lightning Storm, but instead he has to choose one of these targets.
That Overlord mechanic really does hurt, and getting rid of this is the obvious option, right? So, but at the same time, that does end up costing him the Earthshock. Is that a valuable trade there, though? Because you don't want to be taking 5 damage to the face.
That's right. Again, Shaman doesn't have many ways to heal in any decks unless you have like weird cards like Priestess of Elune or the Dark Scale Healing Hunter, whatever it is. And so you want to be conservative as possible, but look at the position that Gnimsh has set up. He's really hoping Artosis doesn't have a Lightning Storm. But even if he does, Artosis has to roll high, because if he gets a low roll on the Lightning Storm, then he's in big trouble.
Yeah, because it actually just wouldn't kill off the Armani Berserker in the middle.
He still has a Lightning Bolt, though. That's right. So he still has that as security.
Yeah, that certainly does help, but it's not as efficient, right? So, but then from that point on, Gnimsh behind this has got to kind of do a little bit of control himself. He's got to...
Helos roll. And you're right, Claire's. Gnimsh has a lot of board potential, and rolling low is actually very devastating here for Artosis because now he's overloaded for 3.
Yeah.
So at best he can probably play a totem and then pass.
Yeah, this gives Gnimsh quite a bit of room. He's going to throw down the Wolf, I imagine, to buff this up and just take even more board control from there. That's tough.
What makes it even tougher, in my opinion, is that Gnimsh also gives Gnimsh the recovery period. When you have no cards in your hand and you're trying to recover from a board swipe or board sweep, you're trying to build up your cards and your minions again. But because of the overload mechanic, it causes Shaman to stall, and this gives him potential to draw basically 4 cards in 2 turns. Yeah. It's very, very powerful.
Exactly. I mean, that stall that we saw there, Gnimsh knew that because his opponent would not have the mana capable of another Lightning Storm, even if he had it, then he just takes full control and he has no worries whatsoever.
And he draws 2 extremely valuable cards, the Defender of Argus, as well as the Leroy.
That's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage. Now he has to clean this up, surely, otherwise he's just done.
That's right, and Artosis needs to draw another Lightning Storm, but he doesn't get it. And this is the power of the Zoo deck. That's why everyone was crazy about it on ladder. It's efficient, it's fast, so you can grind the levels quickly, but it's also very effective. And the recovery is enormous. Like, it doesn't matter if you lose the board once or even twice. You can fill it up, and you have good finishers with like a Doomguard or Leroy.
Good denial of the extra damage there on Defender of Argus and Shield Bearer, as that will... I'm pretty sure, unless he... Oh, well, no, he doesn't know.
Yeah, he has a Soulfire. That just secures it. Even if for some reason he wasn't able to finish off, he has that extra 1 damage.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. I do like that new animation, actually.
That's right, like the giddy up into the board, just adding insult to injury.
Well, there you go, GG. Game no bone goes to Gnimsh, and very, very aggressive from the beginning. Just knowing his opponent's limitations, knowing that unlikely to have a second Lightning Storm with the amount of cards he ended up having in his deck, and not even the ability to use it when he really needed to at that particular moment after this first Lightning Storm.
And it comes down a lot to that early turns we saw. A lot of people can kind of make the case you want to deal with the early Flame Imp, or the Flame Imp early on with the Lightning Bolt, but Artosis had so many 3 mana cost cards that he felt like it would be really, really painful if he wasn't able to play it. But you also notice that he never got to play his Unbound. And that's a card that aggro players would actually have trouble with because it keeps powering up based off the overload mechanics, and it kind of compensates for it. I feel like Artosis, in the end, he made a really tough decision that didn't work out for him.
I really do like what you're saying about the Unbound. I mean, it's really strong, but it takes so long to really get going at the start.
It's a slow play.
Yeah,
you feel like you have to react quickly to a deck like the Zoo.
Yeah, well, we get into our game number 2. Gnimsh currently 1 game up, going to be going up against Warlock again. Sorry, that's Druid, in fact.
Druid.
Sorry.
And it's an excellent hand as well. The Innervate just opens up a world of possibilities.
Yeah. It does. I mean, we've seen Innovate Harvest Golems come out at the very beginning, trying to take control very quick.
And you know, you can even keep it for the Keeper of the Grove. If, say, for example, you pass on turn 1, he plays a Flame Imp, you can, or a Knife Juggler if he coins it out.
Yeah.
Then you can use the Keeper of the Grove to do 2 damage and put a 2/4 body on the board.
Yeah, it's always nice.
So it's just good to see how your opponent reacts. And now Gnimsh is thinking about whether he should keep both Shield Bearers, which I don't think it is. It's a little bit too passive. The Shield Bearer is supposed to protect the minions, but if you're protecting people from protecting other people, then you just have a defensive lineman. You don't have anything else.
Another Innovate. So he gets the best of both worlds, I guess. He can play the Harvest Golem, and then later on he can even use it for the Keeper of the Grove later.
That's right. Whoa. Artosis. Trying to lay down the law.
Yeah. Well, again, a very kind of aggressive move out onto the board, I guess, to try and seize control away from the Harvest Golem, which is, I believe, pretty good.
It's great.
That combo's fantastic.
He has the Direwolf Alpha to also place between the minions as a follow-up play.
That's
Artosis is he's caught here because he feels like he wants to put the Keeper of the Grove out. I think he's debating whether or not he should take out the Young Priestess, but there's no debate here, in my opinion.
Got to kill that off.
Yeah.
Absolutely got it. But I do know that Direwolf Alpha plus Shield Bearer is a very good combination. But from this point, without any ability to really do anything with it, I mean, all he's got is the 1 attack, right? So it seizes control, but
this is the argument against Shield Bearer.
Okay.
Right? Encased or encompassed right in front of you. People say Shield Bearer is a 0-for-1. Like, you just don't actually get value out of it. It just stalls for time. It basically is like gain 4 HP at best. But in this scenario, this is where people feel like Shield Bearer really doesn't work out because you don't have an ability to respond. The best you can use is Abusive Sergeant to give it some damage. And it's just a strictly worse Voidwalker, as you can see. So this is where some people argue against it. And I'm here to say it's not the perfect card. Some people kind of freak out and said Shield Bearer is like amazing, but it's good. It has its uses. It's sometimes useless.
Fair play, fair play. Well, another Harvest Golem's going to go down. He's trying to clean up all these taunts where he can. He absolutely has to. There's no other way to really get around it. But aside from that, Sacrificial Pact, that's not very...
I said this is a cheese card. It's just like, absolutely. If he's playing against Handlock, he just insta-kill Jirax.
Wow. All right, well, buffing this up with Direwolf Alpha. At least it gives it that ability to actually buff up. And you can trade this away for a Keeper of the Grove, actually.
You can. And still, I guess, have semblance of board control, but that Sacrificial Pact is useless. It's basically a good Soulfire fodder, or if you're desperate to heal.
That's true. I can't help but feel with 2 Harvest Golems on the field still not being dealt with, surely he has to find a method to do soon, or he's in a bit of a bad spot.
Yeah, he needs to draw things like a Mortal Coil to help do damage and draw cards and be efficient. But one thing that's really nice is that Artosis has used a lot of cards. He has 1 card in his hand, and it's turn 4. Druids don't get too much draw potential other than Wrath, Nat Pagal, and Ancient of Lore. Whoa, actually hold this thought. This is a Mark of the Wild. Now, this is a card that we don't see very often, and it's very techy, meaning that you don't see it very often. It's very situational. Do you have any opinions on this card, Claire's?
I mean, if you end up buffing up one of the, well, the Ancient Watcher, it's very, very powerful.
Exactly. I mean, by putting it on the Ancient Watcher, it's just a giant wall. How is a Warlock going to deal with it?
That's certainly a great move, or a great draw here from
7 health
Artosis.
is just monstrous to a Warlock.
How would you deal it? Do you try and Soulfire it and bring it down via that means with the Knife Juggler?
Well, he doesn't know right now. And this is kind of where the power... I mean, Sacrificial Pact is useless, so you can use it at this point and tap. But this is what he doesn't know, because the Mark of Wild is about to rock his world.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to deal with.
He can trade and Mark of the Wild if he wants to.
Wow. All right, well, getting rid of the Knife Juggler will always be nice, so he can make sure to keep all of that alive, and all is good. And trading it away from the Burning Harvest Golem is damaged one even, so...
Yes. Part of what makes Harvest Golem so annoying is it's got 2 lives. It's really sticky, and it's able to trade almost 2 for 1 every time it gets aggro.
I decides to keep extra board presence there, not trading away the one that would end up dying, so...
Sure. You have more damage over time.
All right, well, here we go, Mark of the Wild, and unfortunately for Gnimsh, it's probably not best pleased about that.
Yeah. Now, Artosis was a little bit hesitant because he wanted to check turns, if it's turn 5, does he have a potential for something like Black Knight, which he knows Gnimsh doesn't like running in deck, but some aggro players like incorporating it as a finisher.
Ooh.
And this is what makes Ancient Watcher actually really annoying, because even if you silence it, what happens, Galers?
He could be able to attack.
Exactly.
It's really, really a very, very strong card for 2, as long as you're able to get the right stipulations going for it, of course. Oh! Hey, this was...
Oh my goodness.
He really doesn't want to get attacked, man.
This is very unconventional. You know, a lot of people would try to silence it to reduce the damage, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to give your opponent more ammo than he needs.
Well, he's going to have to find another means of which to clean this up, as he's going through that shield blarer. Thankfully, he doesn't take any damage from his little 0 attack or from his hero power.
I'm starting to see exactly what Artosis was saying. He told me he built his Druid deck as strictly anti-aggro. He just does not want to lose to any kind of really rushy decks. And that's where it's a great response to this Warlock deck, the more I think about it.
Yeah, big number of taunts in there, just buffing up those minions, making it hard for him to actually break through. That's very strong. And now he finds a lot of room to throw down Ancient of Law for extra cards if he wants.
It is so rare for a Druid to be able to play it with this much health buffer and be able to feel this confident. Artosis is in a very dominant spot. Gnimsh has to draw big with like a Doomguard or an Argent Commander, but doesn't get it.
Yeah, that's really not going to help out a whole lot. Plus, there's even Swipe there, so you could actually deal with shields or whatever you want to do in that regard pretty quickly across that entire board.
And a Druid of the Claw is also an excellent draw. Like, Artosis is just sitting so pretty.
Yeah, he's doing very, very well in here in game number 2. He's thinking about the Swipe, and he will end up using it to clean that up. Those Divine Shields, man, they're really annoying.
They are. But at the same time, he's not able to capitalize. And part of what makes Argent Squire so powerful in this deck are things like the Direwolf Alpha, the Shattered Sun Cleric, the ability to buff it. Artosis, I guess he's like wondering, should he do it? But at this point, he's so far ahead. Leroy still doesn't even help Gnimsh here. He needs something else.
No, fortunately for him, he can probably kill the Watcher, but aside from that, not really a whole lot more. He's really stuck. He is really, really stuck, and it's going to be 1-1 if he doesn't have a miracle happen.
Yeah, unless I think Artosis accidentally concedes. I don't think Gnimsh is going to be able to win this game.
Yeah.
But he's done what he could. I think doing 6 damage here. Oh, actually, no, I think he was going to go for the face just for fun, but there's no point.
A showman to the very end. Just unfortunately for him, we'll end up falling to that 1-1 position Force of Nature to round it out, but doesn't need it, does not need it. We'll finish him off with a Yeti.
Ooh, does more damage than possible. He's PMing his opponent. He knows it. Artosis took his time, but the series is tied.
All right, well, I wouldn't have it any other way. Get ourselves more games here between these two players. And from what I saw at Story Cup, they were very, very evenly matched.
Yeah, that's right. And these guys are very familiar with each other. Again, for anyone who's tuning in for the first time, they're on the same team. So they practice, they share decks, they bounce ideas and theory craft with each other. So, but, you know, he's still very confused about this mage deck. Yeah. And I wonder if that's what Gnimsh is going to pull out in response.
I was thinking about this as well, and it's a real shocker. It wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't what a lot of people were expecting. And, I mean, can you run us through the theory behind this mage deck at all?
Well, mage in general just has a lot of good value. Like, the cards that they have generally trade 2 for 1 if you're really able to capitalize on the position. So, like, Water Elemental 3/6, you're able to take out almost any 2/3 drop 2 times, and you might be able to do 3. Polymorph is obviously high value. Fireball, 6 damage for 4 mana is, on paper, really great.
Yeah.
The problem with Mage nowadays is that synergy amongst its cards is a little bit hard to find because you don't really find great ways to synergize off of the freeze mechanic, for example. Like, Mages experimented with Ice Lance, Blizzard, and all these things, but they're a little bit too slow. So what Mages do is they just go for very, very efficient cards. Now, one thing that's just so weird is this Elite Tauren Chieftain, which we don't really...
Is it just a show?
Like,
is it?
I don't know. I think Gnimsh just wanted to win and say he won despite having the ETC in his deck.
I haven't seen that card for a long, long time myself. Well, for now, we will open things up. What do you make of the hand so far from Artosis' side of things on the Druid?
We'll see in a second. I didn't get actually a chance to look. This hand quality from Gnimsh is pretty good. He's got a clear turns 3 to actually all the way to 6 if he wants to play his ETC. So the curve fits out nicely, but the response to his opponent, if for example he made a big power play with like an Innervate Druid of the Claw, is going to be a little tricky.
And
but
then
thankfully that's not the case.
And then coming to Artosis' side of things.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like Ancient of Lore is always a nice card to have against a control mage, just because it gives you heal plus the ability to draw cards, and Druid just it needs those 2 mechanics against mage.
Yeah.
And the cards he has in his hand are high quality. It's just he would like to play them now instead of a turn later.
Yeah.
Right? You want to put out the Yeti, but you can't.
And 1 mana away from being able to clean that up with Wrath and then Hero Power, which is a shame.
The quality of his hand is very good.
For later stages. Certainly pretty good, yeah. Okay, so we're just waiting to see what Artosis is going to do. You've already explained that he is in a bit of an odd position. And
yeah, Wrathing here, I feel like if he Wraths,
it doesn't negate any damage, really, does it? Because it's always going to have +2 attack with a damage golem anyway.
I think it's a power play to make sure that if he chooses to buff the card, because he did see buff cards in his deck, it's to make sure that he has the ability to respond immediately as well. And Wrath doesn't get too much more value based off the cards you see in his deck. Maybe against the Berserker, maybe against the Mana Worm, but Mana Worm for Wrath still feels like a good trade for Mage. So I think Artosis, in his mind, he's not going to get too much of a better value out of Wrath.
All right, well, throws down the Acolyte of Pain, and then from here on out, actually has Claw. Wasn't Claw kind of out of the meta for a little while and it's made a little bit of a resurgence?
You're absolutely right. It was cycled out, but because of the prominence of aggro once again in the metagame, it's a great response for early removal without having to overextend. And it's also very important because Claw sometimes comes out on turn 3, which can be the most awkward for Druid because turn 3, you have like a Harvest Golem, and then like what else are you going to drop on like turn 3, like a Farseer maybe if you have it. So having a Claw gives you more early game options to do 3 damage while actually gaining some life. So I think Claw is a great response to aggro, and once again feeds into Artosis' idea that he wants to be good against aggro decks.
Now, normally, let me talk from my new perspective here, Frodan. Normally on turn 4, people often say Yeti has a lot of value. Is there anything from the Mage's side here that would deter Dan from being able to do something like that? Because he had a Yeti, but obviously chose a different option.
Well, the Acolyte, I mean, if he puts out... That's actually a good question. I was busy explaining the previous question.
It's okay, man.
So, I guess in his opinion, because the Acolyte is really threatening, what you can do with the Acolyte as the Mage is use your hero power on yourself. And you don't want Acolyte drawing more than 1 card. Because then it just feels like you're falling way behind. And Mage is heavily draw dependent because there's not a lot of natural draw mechanics in the class. So every draw you can get is really valuable. That's why for a long time they ran things like Arcane Intellect, Loot Hoarder, and Novice Engineer before all the nerfs came to Mage.
Yeah. Well, that certainly makes a hell of a lot of sense. As now still, Artosis is thinking about this as best he can do. He has, well...
You could clear the Water Elemental. It is a big threat. Because not being able to use your hero power really sucks as a Druid. This insight brought to you by Frodan.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. I'm lost without you, Frodan. Okay, so he cleans it up and takes the first freeze, but I suppose in essence he still keeps his card on the board, so he still has that presence available to him.
Yeah, excellent turn here for Artosis.
Is it ETC time? No, it's not.
No,
I'm really sad.
So what's tricky about ETC is that, I mean, well, not aside from its RNG and the fact that you're basically asking people to criticize your deck build.
Yeah.
It's also a card that it gives cards to both players, like Cold Light Oracle. So both players draw and they can use it. And so if you play it on a board where you don't have control and your opponent can respond, if he plays his response to it, then you're basically almost giving your opponent ammo to fire it back at you. So you want to play it on the empty board or a dominant position where you have like 2 taunts and you can't do anything back.
Yeah, does have Frostbolt if he wants to try and clean up this taunted Yeti. But at the same time, are there different options here for him to be able to really solidify himself?
I like using the hero power to trade for the Yeti with the Monty Berserker.
Yeah.
But this is also not wrong either because you're able to improve your board position. And actually, this is a far superior choice because now he puts a 6/2 on the board without having to sacrifice it.
That's really, really nice.
So I actually rescinded and Gnimsh outthought me. That's why he's playing and that's why I'm commentating.
Hey. Well, Gnimsh is pretty good. Let's not beat around the bush. So, well, for now, also using that Divine Shield before to soak up is such good board position here for Gnimsh, and is he actually going to make this mage work? I mean, there's still...
Well, that's the thing. Like, Mage is just so hard when it gets rolling to stop, because it has ways to seize back momentum with Flame Strike. If you put out a big threat, it just polymorphs it. And then, you know, if things get kind of crazy and you feel like you're at a safe health total, he drops a Pyroblast and then you just have no health left. You know, Mage still has a lot of tools. It's just, again, the meta has kind of shifted away because the synergy isn't quite there as it used to be compared to months ago.
Well, for now, with this mage, he's going to trade away for the Watcher, which is always a good position when you've got this right location. But now, couldn't he just play Khan?
ETC might come out here.
Yeah?
Because he can actually remove it efficiently by using his hero power and keep it alive.
Okay, this is cool. All right, well...
But does he Kalaris?
He goes for the Khan instead.
Yeah, he's not a gambling man at the moment.
Yeah.
This is so unlike Gnimsh. I'm going to have to talk with him about it, because I'm like... I'm very, very disappointed it didn't come out. Just as a fan perspective.
Well, draws 2 cards off that nature, and with that, just going to try and clean up what taunts he can. Because he has Force of Nature, right? So if he draws a Savage Draw or something like that, then he can always combo it up. And getting rid of the taunts is always so important to deal with that.
But speaking of taunts, pushing out this Defender of Argus and being able to clear the board while pushing damage back on the Druid, this is a very, very tough position for Artosis.
Yeah. Gnimsh has played
unless he draws like a... Actually, just kidding. He has to Keeper of the Grove. I didn't see that. So he's actually thinking about whether the order of to play this.
Right. Do you end up using Swipe in this situation, or?
I think absolutely, because then if silence it, you're able to remove it very efficiently. He was just making sure that he didn't do it out of turn. Right. Sometimes if you rush, you make silly mistakes.
That does end up dying off, so a good cleanup. A very, very good cleanup as we have Azure Drake come out here for the Mage. I still want to see ETC. I'm gonna I really like it, but I mean, Backlight of Pain is a great choice here with the hero power, just to draw himself another card. And he still has 4 mana, so even if he got something nice...
That's a terrible draw.
Yeah, not very good.
Arching Squire late game doesn't do much, unless you can buff it, but still. He used one of his Defender of Argus already.
And now, is there the potential that Artosis tries to look to bring his opponent's health down, or is the board just too much in Gnimsh's favor here for him to eventually try and set up for something like Force of Nature and Savage Roar?
Well, here's like the interesting, weird meta thing. Gnimsh's deck is kind of a fuse between a board control mage with some aggressive options.
Yeah.
And so as a result, it's really hard to read what your opponent has. And he feels like he might be in lethal range because he doesn't know what his opponent's capable of. And I think this safer approach is great because you can still put out a Yeti, which is a 4/5 body, like the magical combination of stats. And you don't have to overextend by pushing out like a Karen and feeling you're defenseless. So I think this is a great play from Artosis.
Okay, just playing it safe, playing it cool and collected. Yeah. Fireball comes out, so that could have added even more fuel to the fire, unfortunately, as that would do quite a bit of damage if he was able to play it forwards.
In combination with something like the Azure Drake, that's what's really good for it.
Yeah, and he really kind of... does he have any present? Like, he could technically kill the Keeper of the Grove here and try and push that away.
He does. With like the Shadow Sun Cleric, he can buff it or use his Fire Blast to ping. Fireball is used more generally as removal nowadays anyways. People have stopped kind of using it to rush and burn your opponents because the follow-up damage is a little bit tricky sometimes. But it does have good finishing potential. So I wouldn't blame him for using it on the Yeti and then just trying to trade down everything.
Well, killing all of this off and even surviving for the last hit. And with that now, we're seeing this Mage not doing too badly.
And again, putting pressure back on the Druid. Druid wants board control by turn 10, absolutely. And this is well, it normally is a dead draw, but it actually works out if Artosis wanted to play everything.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Yeah. I guess technically he could clean up the board with Force of Nature, right? But it's not an efficient use of the card in comparison to what you normally do.
Yeah, you want to use it as a finisher or an absolute last desperate move for removal.
Yeah.
Right? But
is he desperate enough?
I don't think so. No. 17 health. It still feels like you have an ability to fight back, especially with a Karen in your hand. I don't know. This is a tough call.
He's thinking about it, I think.
The great thing about Karen is that if you draw into a Force of Nature, it just adds to your burst potential because it's very hard to remove. But he's also worried about a polymorph because it's like, what, 11 turns into the game for each player? surely Gnimsh had to have drawn like a polymorph,
Yeah,
I think.
he hasn't seen one at all, so
He's just crossing his fingers.
yeah.
No polymorph.
Please, please, please.
Hashtag it on Twitter. Right, no
Hashtag no
polymorph.
polymorph.
Okay. Well, he can still draw an Azure Drake into it.
Now, with the Blood Mage Thalnos, do people sometimes just ping it themselves and then?
That's right. Some people do. Some people do. It's a valid move, especially late game. It's kind of a move of desperation if you really need to.
Oh.
But speaking of crazy moves,
Why not? Why not?
you have the mana to play the card immediately. And I bet he's gonna summon a Karen. Watch. This is gonna happen.
Dude.
I'm gonna lose it.
No.
Not quite.
He's like,
Artosis is like, Now, what's so funny is he's got a Murloc card.
oh.
And Murloc card actually could be really good if it synergized with Force of Nature
Yeah.
Savage Roar. Like, imagine you just get like 5 Murlocs plus the tree ants and
Yeah.
you do everything.
It's so sad he like doesn't have like a second innovate or something for like a crazy combination, but oh well. I think here, is he actually just going to try and clean up?
He does, and I think Ancient of Lore is a great card just to have in your back pocket because it's good recovery potential. Again, health or draw cards, whichever you need more, which in my opinion, I argue he needs cards more than anything right now. But at the same time, he's always worried. Like, when you play a mage, you have to respect Pyroblast. You just have to. Like, you just need to play around it. So he feels like the obligation to clear board, and by doing so, makes him safe from Pyro range.
All right, well, very close to throwing that down, and he will do to clean up. So all of this is going to die off in the end. And
oh, is he going to use the hero? Oh, no, it's just, yeah, sorry.
I was going to say,
there.
yeah, like, I was thinking, oh, is he actually going to go for that little Argent Squire? But no. So he could actually just clean it up with his shapeshift, so all is good for him for now.
It is. Now, one thing that's interesting is, when is it an appropriate play to use IEM Murloc? This is not a situation most players are used to.
Savage Roar?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think he feels like maybe if he uses that with the hero power, he can clear the board while being able to draw into it. And I guess just pass and hope no Flame Strike.
Yeah, that would be scary. All right, well, drawing the Sylvanas. How much is Sylvanas really kind of has it gained traction in the meta as of late? Because for a lot of time people weren't using it that much.
Well, you even answered it in your own question. You were saying, you answered it earlier in the cast with Red Eye. You were saying how Tink Master has fallen out of grace, and people feel like it's too random, which I agree. And Sylvanas was countered by the rise of Tink Master because they felt like, you just play Sylvanas, you put a 5/5 minion, which is at worst the same thing as what Sylvanas is, and you negate its effect. So overall, Sylvanas is making a comeback.
Oh, good to see. Well, nice. As he does even just play the Fairy Dragon. I can't remember for the life of me what Artosis has in his hand now.
He still has that Ancient of Lore.
Yeah, yes. So still draw potential here. And actually, doesn't he have room to do this right now?
Mm-hmm. It's great because now he's finally able to not only clear the board, but he's able to put more minions and draw cards on it. So this is very, very good for Artosis, and this is the power of Druid. The power of Druid is just to be able to sweep back momentum with cards like Ancient Lore, because it's like a 3-for-1.
Yeah. Couldn't he actually use Mark of the Wild technically on Khan to kill off that and to keep it alive? But of course, it would end up getting pinged next turn, so...
He does. He has the option to. I think Artosis is more worried about being able to trade without having to lose health on the Cairn.
Yeah.
Like, because again, it's just annoying for your opponent to deal with. You have to respect the cards that Mage could potentially have that are very powerful, like Flame Strike, for example. And you want to make it as awkward as possible on your opponent. Putting a Mark of the Wild is like a big target to polymorph it.
Yeah.
Or to use Flame Strike and then make it feel like you've lost a lot of value.
Because you get a good 2-for-1 deal, negating the Mark of the Wild and the effect of Cairn Bloodhoof is always very nice. And he's thinking about it by the looks of things. He could actually spread it across the board and Mark of the Wild his Ancient of Lore. But
that is true. That's actually a play he could do. But again, he's worried about what Gnimsh has in his hand because there's no card with ETC. There is no card that is too crazy for Gnimsh to have in his deck. Like, you can't count anything, right?
Yeah. Well, he's going to try and do this in the end. So it does make it a little bit harder for him to fully clean up, and it also gives protection for the Cairn.
Ooh, I don't know about putting it on the Murloc and trading.
Yeah.
If he puts it on his Ancient of Lore, I feel like he really has to trade the Cairn in a way. But at the same time, I can understand it if he goes for damage or pushes for damage and instead opts to put the initiative back on his opponent. But I feel like it's a little irresponsible to leave the Fairy Dragon like this, in my opinion.
Well, it does remain. And what are we going to see from the draw here? Harvest Golem's not really going to do him a huge amount.
No, Harvest Golem is, again, as much as it's great early game, a lot of people love Harvest Golem. Oh my god, instant pick in Arena. It's actually really weak late game because it doesn't do much.
Considering the position of how much he's on the board now with the Cairn and the 7/7, I suppose that's the disadvantage of putting the Mark of the Wild on a different target to Cairn, because now there's two good options for Sylvanas to get eventually once this occurs if they don't die off in trade, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Claire's, and that's what makes it difficult. But at the same time, I don't know how much he was aware that Gnimsh even ran Sylvanas.
Yeah, that's
it's a little bit
good
unfair to kind of peg that. Like, yeah, he didn't know this card was coming.
I'll apologize to him later. All right, well, technically he could actually buff all of that, but then he would leave it susceptible to an assault anyway. And
that's right. So here again is why Sylvanas is generally, for a while people considered it the best legendary. It's just, it affects the state of the board so much. You have to play around it or directly confront it and live with the results.
I mean, if he was very, he's actually going to throw it down. So everything is now a little bit more vulnerable.
Kill off the Blood Mage.
Yeah.
And just push for damage, see what you can get.
It's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage.
Now, what's interesting is if Sylvanas doesn't steal a very valuable card, something like Savage Roar can still just end the game.
Yeah.
So Artosis is not only setting up a stronger board and as many targets as possible.
Oh! Ouch. That really, really hurts considering the health of all of these minions.
Oh man, that value.
Wow, bye-bye.
You can pick off the damage golem too.
Oh well. This actually leaves Sylvanas on the board, but then there's nothing for it to steal later on, so it's not... I guess cleaning up is always nice, right? Oh.
I was just kind of making that joke that if you drew into Savage Roar and, for example, Sylvanas only stole like one of the weaker taunts, he would still be able to push for damage and win. But now Gnimsh has all the momentum in the world in his hands.
Yeah, could even buff whatever he wants to.
Play everything. I don't see why not.
There's not really a whole lot his opponent could do against this. Even if he had a swiper, it just doesn't really work.
Precisely. And Water Elemental, again, is just so annoying because it negates your hero power from being able to do anything.
And when you don't have many cards to hand...
Oh, man, Druid of the Claw. That's... Let's see.
Wait.
That's 9 damage? That's 9 damage. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But... if he puts him at 9 damage, no matter what, he loses. So Artosis drew 1 damage short because his opponent has 10 damage in response.
Oh, poor guy. Poor guy.
He has to play this as a taunt or charge and trade. That's the only way he can live. But unfortunately, we know that Artosis drew just short.
That's very unfortunate. It really is. And from now on, just playing this as a taunt, going to have to bear the brunt of it as it brings him down to 9 damage.
Now if Gnimsh somehow just end turn by accident.
Well, he's going to have to get that taunt first, you're right. And then from there on. So, best method, just killing off this and... Okay. Keeps it alive.
That's right. And, keep the minions alive. Keep it awkward for Druid to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, Artosis would have to come up so big and draw like an Azure Drake and swipe here to just basically seize back this game. And we've seen crazy top decks from Artosis, but I don't think this is going to be enough.
Man, there you go.
He falls short. And game 3 goes to Gnimsh.
Wow. Okay, 2-1 up here. Will it be a repeat of Seek Story Cup?
Not just any 2-1. It's 2-1 with an ETC.
Yeah, that was quite crazy. I didn't expect to see the deck in the beginning. I didn't expect to see ETC there, and I didn't expect to see him win with it.
Right, and not only that, but Gnimsh also played an unconventional deck and won with it, and proving that Mage still has competitive viability. Druid is one of the most stable classes in the entire metagame. It's not necessarily the best class, but it's good versus everything. And he didn't even need some of these cards. Like he didn't use Polymorph. He doesn't use like the Pyroblast. He's just using straight up good decisions and good board position.
Yeah. And now has one deck left to try and keep himself alive in this. So it's all or nothing now for Artosis.
And he's down to his warrior deck. His class that Artosis told me a while ago, I'm not sure if it still applies. Actually, no, it doesn't apply anymore. But once upon a time, Control Warrior was Artosis' most comfortable deck.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think it's Murloc. But I think he also realized people know he plays Murloc, so he's like, I don't want to just play Murloc anymore.
Murloc's brutal, man. Okay, I will say, and this is probably bad of me to admit, but I've played Murloc like 1 or 2 times because I have never
There's
really.
no shame in that. There's no shame in that, Polaris.
I ran up against it on ranked, and I was like, I'm not playing this deck. It feels really, really silly, but you've got to have really good decision making when you're playing a deck like that. Despite a lot of people considering it to be like, I don't know, easier to use.
How do you know you don't like it unless you try it?
I guess I got to try it more than twice.
No, no judgment from me here. I've also had my fair share. Murlocs isn't my kind of deck. I like playing more rushy decks, like Warlock aggro if I wanted to do it, but in the end, it's a little bit trickier. Murlocs are very underrated.
That's a mean combination. This is making this Armani Berserker all the more lethal. I shouldn't say lethal, actually. I'll use a different word. Dangerous.
Very, very deadly.
Yeah.
Yes. Artosis is kind of struggling right now because he has such a slow start with not being able to immediately deal with it. Even if he does something like shield block and shield slam with the coin, it just feels like he doesn't improve his board position. He wants to put out the Yeti, but he's going to take a lot of damage back with the Fire Blast ping and the Monty Berserker next turn.
Yeah, that's a tough spot. It really is. And that's something that I guess Warriors have a little bit of a hard time doing. Actually, once you fall behind to this position, there's not a whole lot. Has the cool Taskmaster available to him, though. Could just use that and then execute, I guess.
That's right, and I think this is definitely the smartest play available. Not only you put a minion on the board, it's a minion that can trade.
Right, yeah.
So it's a little awkward, for Gnimsh. But I don't think playing the Argus here is bad either. Playing the Argus and either trading or going for... Actually, pushing for damage is better.
Pushing for damage?
Warrior still has to respond to it.
Yeah, because it's still there. It's not really low. You're not running the risk of anything else cleaning it up.
Now we're back to square one. Artosis has like 2 minions he has to deal with. He wants to play a minion, but it's just awkward in every respect.
That's tough. That really is. Even if he wants to go for like a shield block and draw a card, he's not going to be able to use it anytime now. So he's going to go for the Chillwind Yeti. He's going to have to just eat it. But the great thing is, compared to the previous turn, is that the Amani Berserker had +3 damage potential. Now he doesn't have it. Yeah, certainly not quite as potent. You're certainly right.
Oh, this stings. Oh my god, that stings so bad. Ouch. Because now he can just hero power it down. Oh, man.
Frozen can't do anything for a while. That's really annoying. Artosis isn't having a good time, man.
No, this is a classic playground school bullying we're watching.
And even the hand way in advantage. Sorry, not in advantage technically. I mean, he has a lot of cards, but he just can't use them.
But like, he can't play everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a tight bind. It really is.
Even if you shield block, he needs to draw something like a whirlwind or a slam or like a fiery war axe. So there are ways out, but it's not as reliable. If he shield blocks and draws like his Baron, he's in big trouble.
He's going to try and force himself on the board.
Yeah, he needs to make a play. This is a play that says, I'm going to control it back and you won't kill me.
Yeah.
But if for some reason he had a polymorph, which he still hasn't seen yet, so maybe he can conclude he doesn't have it. But if he had a polymorph, it's game over.
Because every time he's been trying to clear away these, there's been no polymorph, you're right. So this is a very, very smart move by Artosis, but he's taking so much damage.
I think this could be the second to last turn here. Because... Oh, actually, just kidding.
Super shields.
That's right, he has
shields all the way.
I was like, man, Artosis can't recover it. And then I was like, yeah, he has shield slams.
That's certainly okay.
Well, even if he had shield blocks, like, if he didn't have a way to deal with the state of the board, he'd be in trouble. But I misread.
Well, happens to the best of us, although I'm probably not the best at the moment.
It's still not a good position for Artosis either way.
All right. Well, he even has Kernblood Hoof if he wants to use it, but I don't see... Is there really a huge need for him to use it at this point?
Yes and no. Yes, because Warrior's starting to get into dangerous states of health.
Yeah.
Again, he has the Pyroblast in hand, and so he knows if he can get him low enough, and have minion pressure, then you could. But I like this.
Right?
Yeah, I like this better because it puts more minions on the board. Actually, at the same time, though, Cairn is like brawl proof. Because if you put Cairn on the board and it dies anyway to brawl, it spawns.
There's another one. There's Bane.
So, yes and no. Like I can understand why he did this, but what do you think, Claire's? Would you like more minions on the board, or would you like to play the Cairn?
I would like to go with the previous polymorph strat you suggested of just trying to control as best you can do. I mean, he always has to be a little bit fearful of brawl, right? But it's unfortunately for Artosis, it's just not there. So it's a really, really tough spot.
You know, and it's interesting too because with Tinkmaster nerfed, Cairn is also empowered. Cairn and Sylvanas are like the two legendaries that people feel like is really great now because the Death Rattle effect is in full effect. Wow, that word play. Anyways.
It's true, man, it's true.
So, you know, putting the Cairn on is also resistant to Worry. Warriors have have a lot of trouble dealing with it.
Does he Throffin Berserker slam then Whirlwind here or something for... Like, I mean, it would buff the Throffin Berserker a lot, right? But it looks like that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, you know, if you want to slam, you want to put the Falling Berserker, but at the same time, you could draw into better options, and you don't have the mana to play because you played the Falling Berserker.
Yeah.
So you miss out on 1 extra damage, which isn't the end of the world, but at the same time, you also open up 5 mana worth of possibilities with drawing. So that's his rationale of not playing it then.
This can be cleaned up, but obviously you're basically forced to clean it up. Wait, doesn't he have lethal? No, sorry, he doesn't have 10 mana, of course.
Oh, you're right. Oh, sorry, just kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, you faked me out there, Kalaris. I was like, yeah, with Pyroblast, 10 plus 2 plus 2 is 14. I can count. But no, not yet.
Not yet. Soon though, soon. And with 30 health, he has all the room in the world himself to just continue this on and make it really, really hard. Keep pressuring him.
He has a way to trade. He even has a draw off of it. Gnimsh is in full driver's seat. Now, he has to be careful because there are ways Warriors can pull this game back with things like Alex Straza. But this is why Cairn is just such a powerful minion because you can't ignore him, even though you feel like you need to.
Has it in his hand, gets Ragnaros, and then...
Rag is like the worst player.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, it's ineffectual.
Yeah, this is very, very difficult. I guess he has to go for shield block and try and bunker up a little bit more, because otherwise he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's going to take a lot of damage.
And then what are you trying to draw for? You're just stalling for time, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, these alternative plays, the Gorehowl, the Grommash, the Rag, they don't feel very powerful.
Chillwind?
That's not bad.
It's not too bad,
That's not bad.
Assert yourself in the board a little bit more here. Bane, that little son of Khan, unfortunately for him, is a little bit inferior to his dad because he doesn't really have that death rattle effect. So we still have a good position here, I think, for Gnimsh.
Very good, very good. And again, he has that Power Blast in his back pocket, which Artosis has not seen. He hasn't seen it being played, nor has he even seen it being drawn when he was in the audience waiting. So in his opinion, he might feel like Cairn might be and Flame Strike might be the highest cost cards in his deck.
And technically, Bane could just disappear to Frostbolt, right? So this solidifies his position even more on the board.
I mean, all he has to do is play for lethal next turn.
Yes.
Because he has the Pyroblast. What is he worried about a turn 9 from Artosis? At best, maybe an Alex Straza, that's what he can't. I mean, this doesn't really matter. So this is the best play by far. I wouldn't even blame him for, frost bolting the face.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, I wouldn't even mind it.
Yeah, just in case he has some kind of armor behind all of this. Wait, he already played both shield slams though, didn't he? So
that's right. Or shield blocks, rather.
Yeah, sure.
And Artosis doesn't know what to say. He has 2 weapons that are useless. Ragnaros. Do you play that and it potentially land? Like, he can't do anything, so he has to heal up with the Alex Straza.
Yeah,
that's the best turn 9 play.
No other option.
But we know that was what Gnimsh was expecting.
Yeah.
And he's going to end it the way everyone hates being killed by Mage.
A Pyroblast. Bye-bye, Artosis. And there you go. Congratulations, as Gnimsh here is able to take it 3-1 and be the victor here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
He does. He takes home, was it $2,000 or is it $1,000?
$2,000.
Yeah. And a very good job, well done. Gnimsh was telling me how much he wanted this win. He's a pole, and he wants to win on homeland soil. I'm very proud of him.
That's very, very impressive for him. Congratulations to him. Commiserations to Artosis. But hey, $1,000 isn't too bad.
It's pretty good. I think Artosis did a really good job as well playing his decks. He did make some decisions where he pushed for damage, he tried to fight for board control, but I have to kind of say his draws were not as good as Gnimsh in some of those early curve situations, especially in the last game. I kind of felt for him. He didn't really have good responses to the minions early on.
So in terms of what we've seen, in terms of this mage deck kind of coming along and being able to take Artosis out 2 games, do you think that it was, well, was it just down to the fact that the draw wasn't that good for Dan?
I wouldn't say it's that, simple to break it down, but that does have a huge role in it. You can also say like the ETC had a big role in winning for him because his card was, I don't know, like you can make any kind of excuse, but in the end, Gnimsh played very well. He demonstrated good aggro and control play. I think people have to really respect that because a lot of people, they feel like Gnimsh is a one-dimensional aggro player. Not the case. He can play control. Wow. And it's weird because these are 2 different decks that kind of accomplish the same goal that's very unique. It's sort of like an aggressive burst deck that has a lot of minions on the board, but it also plays board control style. So Gnimsh has a bunch of tricks under his belt, and I'm very scared to play against him because you never know what he's going to bust out in ETC.
Yeah, that was crazy. That really was very, very crazy. I wasn't expecting it myself. And that means that we now crown our champion, which is very good for Gnimsh. I mean, he beat Artosis at Seat Story Cup. He now beats him here as well. When's Artosis going to get that victory?
Well, he won at BlizzCon. You can't fault him. He had a long weekend of casting. He was doing StarCraft 2. I mean, he was working with you, and so he's coming off a very long weekend. At the very end of the day, he still ended up getting 2nd place and defeating Lothar, one of the players that people felt like was really up and coming in the scene. So props to Artosis. He played well, but Gnimsh was clearly the best player today. Yeah,
pretty impressive stuff there from Gnimsh. So congratulations to him. And now I believe we can actually send it over to an interview with the winner himself, Mr. Gnimsh.
Thank you, guys. Well, I have to say that was a final of some serious proportions and very, very, very enjoyable to watch, especially for me as I can now invite up to the stage the man who, let's say, told me to get involved with Hearthstone, and I've been enjoying it ever since, and that is my good friend, Carmack. Please come out, sir. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's been a wild ride, this event, and I'm super happy that Poland's got 2 titles here in Katowice now.
That must feel pretty good, bringing this to Poland and then having a day like today.
Yeah, although I have to say he was a really lucky bastard with that brawl.
Okay, well, choice of language, always perfect. What did you think while watching the final?
I enjoyed it. I actually wished, we joked around with Artosis before the final. I actually wished him the 2nd place card. We've got top secret cards here. I wished him this, 2nd place card, and he came over to me and said, "Hey, I did what you wanted."
That's the sign of a true friend. Well, without further ado, I think, would you like to do the honors and invite the players up?
Actually, let's invite the entire group out. Everyone that's here. Come over, guys.
Come up, please, please.
Artosis, Dan, Red Eye, Ben, Mark from Blizzard. Let's go, guys, let's go.
Come on up here, guys.
I mean, it's supposed to be an in type of feeling.
I can't be next to Red Eye and not give him a microphone. Red Eye, I have to pass across you. Oh no, come on, sir. Please, Red Eye.
You're not supposed to give the mic away, Sean. What are you doing?
A rookie mistake.
Rookie mistake. Don't do that. You're doing a great job, buddy.
So, Paul, would you do the honors?
Would you do the honors?
In 4th place.
In 4th place. I don't know who finished 4th. Who finished 4th? Really? You look so good in that semi-final, though. I'm disappointed in you, but congratulations on 4th place.
Consolation Panda.
Thank you, sir. Let's have a look at that card. And that moves us swiftly along to the 3rd place.
Bernd from Blizzard. Stingy accountant. Dan Let me do the honors.
Okay, I'll announce it. You can give it away. In second place,
You
the
receive,
mighty Artosis.
you receive the silver onion.
At the end of your turn, you have a 50% chance to cry. Fabulous. And the winner,
And the winner.
by defeating a revenge.
By the way, the prize money is going out of your StarCraft 2 commentator fee. Mr. Filipovic, we had a deal. For the invite, we split the prize 50-50.
Wait, what's going on here?
Didn't we say like League of Legends?
No. Anyway, let's not draw this out too long.
All right, the winner winning $2,000
Where's
is Gnimsh.
Yay! Go, Mark! Mark with the trophy.
And the trophy, look at that. Oh, that's awesome.
Any closing words?
This was so exciting. I brought a mage deck, and I won with mage deck, so I'm super happy. Like people said, I will be either crazy or a genius to play that deck. Maybe I'm not either, but I know that I have still like a good RNG.
So Artosis told me you have a wide reputation for being the luckiest player out there. What do you have to say to all the people that say that?
I agree.
Well, I have to say that it's been an absolute pleasure to take part and be involved in the Intel Extreme Masters Hearthstone tournament. And of course, this is your champion. So once again, for you, sir. And that leads us then to the sad part, which is saying thank you to everybody here. Thank you for everybody for watching. And of course, we'll be back again soon. But for now, signing out. Good night.